Hello and welcome to Brax will let you know one voice at a time. And today I have a very special guest. Care to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Precious Ogunleye.
Awesome. Thank you. And today's quote is going to be, "We are all alone, born alone, die alone. And in spite of true romance magazines, we shall all someday look back on our lives and see that, in spite of our company, we were alone the whole way." I don't say lonely, at least not all the time, but essentially and finally alone. This is what makes your self-respect so important. And I don't see how you can respect yourself if you must look in the hearts and minds of others for your happiness.
See, my initial reaction to that, I feel like speaks volumes to kind of like the negative connotation with the word alone and how human beings inherently, like, that is our capital T truth, but like, that's a truth that we don't really want to reconcile with.
The title of our summit is Self-Respect to Self-Love.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear the term self-respect, what comes to mind?
So so self-respect was not something that, if I'm being honest, like was like really in my vocabulary until like having to really deal with myself towards the end of the year of 2020. And honestly, that word started to have meaning to me when I saw this tweet about like how so many women, like, or so many, not even just women, I'm sorry, so many people lack self-respect, and it shows in the way that they navigate their lives. And it's not even trying to like be mean, but it's just like it's the truth. It's just the truth. And so for me, I realized, I kind of like sat back and asked myself, I'm like, okay, like, I'm a person who claims to really love myself. I'm a person who claims to like have a lot of self-love, yet I keep going through the same cycle of like bad relationships, both intimate and platonic, like just the same cycle of like just rough stuff that, and people that keep hurting me. And I realized that what do I feel like I've noticed is the pattern in that, and it's a lack of respect. And it's an unfortunate thing that I had to come to terms with, but I had to somehow take blame. Not that I deserved it, no, but like more so, if I were to have set boundaries to begin with, and to set boundaries takes a lot of courage, and that courage ultimately can come from a lot of places. But when it comes to yourself, like, if you don't have at least a little bit of self-respect, you will not be able to place effective boundaries with people. I always thought to myself, like, I'm a good person, like, and like, but I don't know why I keep having these things that happen. So I just kind of like, after seeing that tweet, I kind of like sat back and like did some soul searching, and really was just like, okay, like, what is missing in my life? What am I doing, or what am I allowing to happen that is causing these things to happen? And I realized it's like I did not respect myself like at all. Like, I loved myself, or at least the illusion of what I thought was love. Like, love is nothing without respect, in my opinion, honestly. Like, you can't love someone and not like treat them with respect, like we like I feel like there's been enough examples of what love looks like without respect, and it's possession, and it's just like, and it's never healthy, it's always toxic. But love with respect is always just, there's a correlation there. Like, at some point when you start to like sit back and really think about it, and you start to put words situations, like then you start to figure out it's respect. That's ultimately what it is. So for me, like self-respect is the most important thing. And so to me, self-respect is setting boundaries. It's saying no and not being afraid to say no, and like demanding from, not demanding, but like expecting people in your life to respect that. And if they don't, then they're gonna go. Like, and honestly, if I'm being really honest with you, the journey to self-respect is a lonely one.
Mm-hmm.
It's one where like where you start to realize that not a lot of people are okay with that thought. Like some people are so like a lot of people's idea of friendship is this, like they view unconditional love as unconditional access. You know, like unconditional, like like entry into like every sect of your life, you know. And that's just not the case. Like there's things that are for you and only for you, and that's okay. And that's something that I've had to learn. And it's like, and I've had to learn that if someone's not okay with that, I should not have to shrink myself, or I should not have to like sacrifice that for the sake of compromise. Like I think excuse my language, I think compromise is bullshit. I really do. I think that like we've been fed this idea of like, I'm gonna speak especially for women, honestly. Like we've been fed this idea of compromise is necessary for happiness, but that's not the case. Like there are so many women out there who like who honestly I've noticed get married possibly like later in life, but that's because they refuse to accept anything less than what they asked for. And those women are often seen as like difficult, or like just I don't even want to say the words because it's just annoying, because they're not. They just have a lot of self-respect. That's just what it is. And the world isn't like that, especially from black women. When a black woman like knows her worth, like truly knows her worth, respects herself, does not take shit from anybody, does not allow anyone to just like walk all over her or just do whatever the fuck they want. I'm sorry. Do whatever they want. Like it's threatening to a lot of people, because that's a lot of power there. That is a lot of power. That is a lot of self-actualization, if I'm being honest with you. And I'm very privileged to even have the time and energy to get to this point that I'm at. And so when I speak of this, I don't speak to like judge people, but I speak just to talk about like how this journey for me has been it's been terrible, it's been difficult, it's been painful, but it's been necessary to be the person that I am today. And now when I graduate, like I'm honestly glad it happened when I was in college, because now when I graduate, like I'll be a better functioning adult. Like I'm an adult now, but like I'll be a better functioning adult in the real world. When tough things happen, I'll be able to handle it by not shutting down, because of my own like journey of working on myself, like of loving myself enough to want to work on myself, respecting myself enough to give myself the time and energy to work on myself. Like as hard as it is oh my, it's so hard. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's difficult, especially coming, I'm not going to talk about my background too much, but coming from the background that I came from, like being like as a dark-skinned black woman, like being told that like from a young age that something is wrong with my skin, like it's a lot. And it's also just like it's a lot. So to get to this point is not easy, but it's necessary. And I think that like it may not go the same way for like other people, but like self-respect to me is like it's a necessity, in my opinion. It's not something that only few people should have. It's a necessity for all people.
So what exactly is love for you? So you talk about self-love, but what is the definition of love for you?
Wow. Yeah. If that's any indication of I think that I'm still working. Okay, love and love. What type of love is the question? Because there's like, I can't remember the 5 types, but I know how to like describe them. There's like the love between like family. Are you talking about like love like that, or like friendship love, or like intimate love? Because I have different definitions for each.
Right.
Like, so.
And that's like part 2 of that question, because I say, where have you noticed the difference between the journey of loving yourself and loving a partner or a family member?
Yeah. So like, one thing I've noticed about myself is that I have a large capacity to love. Like, I always say, like, it was quoted beautifully. I think a Marvel movie quoted it beautifully for me. Nick Fury's dad, in the movie, like, Nick Fury was like, my dad always says that, like, he loves people, but he doesn't trust people. And that is kind of me. Like, I love, like, human beings are the most fascinating thing. Like, I love people. I really do. Like, I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I love hearing people's stories. It's so beautiful. Like, I think that each individual person is so unique and so beautiful in their own way, whether physically or what I like, or whatever. Like, I think that people are incredible, but at the same time, I don't trust people. Like, I just don't. So love for me, and recently in friendship, has been tainted, like, a lot. And it's love and friendship. I need to rework what that looks like for me right now. So I can't give an answer there. Love for me and family, if you ask anyone, my siblings are literally my entire world. Like, those are my best friends. Like, back there by my desk, like, it's literally just all 5 of us, like, different pictures of them. I love them. They're everything. They're I literally think about them, and sometimes I'm getting emotional. I love them so much. I really do. I love them so much. And when it comes to my family, like, that's how I know that I have a capacity to love deeply, is just with the way, like, I can't imagine loving somebody more than I love my siblings. And the fact that, like, romantic love can be that, some, like, at one point, scares me, but also, like, intrigues me. I've never been in love. I don't think I've ever loved a man that wasn't my father or my brother or, like, my uncles and cousins. Like, I've liked someone deeply, probably, but, like, I cannot say that I've ever loved a man, really. And I think that there's a lot of reasons why, just, like, a lot of things that happened in my past, like, which is probably why. So, like, I'm also working on the definition of what that looks like, but I know that so far, I know what I want in a romantic partner. I know that, like, this gonna sound stupid, but, like, I just realized that, like, a romantic partnership doesn't have to be difficult. Like, it doesn't have to be hard. It can be easy, and that's fine. It can be easy, and like, for, like, an example, in the past, like, I thought yelling and arguing is normal. It's not. It's like, you can argue about, like, certain things, yeah, but it should never, like, I've seen examples of couples who will argue and end the argument within 5 minutes. And it's not even, and it will never get that deep, because communication is part of their relationship. Like, if you know how to communicate, like, my partner in the future, like, communication is so important. You also have to respect me, so I cannot clearly date a misogynist. Like, if you have traits of that, bye. No, like, there's just, I know that it might be really difficult for me to end up with a person and actually, like, say that, for me to even call a man my boyfriend, like, he has to meet a lot of it's annoying to say, very mature traits that I've noticed that like our generation does not take the time to work on and try and exhibit. But I mean, I also understand like in this world there's a lot going on and some people do not have the time to do that, which it's okay. But for me, like I I have to be with someone now, especially with the journey I'm on. Like now I will not accept anything less than an easy, fluid, organic, like partnership where like you fully respect me, you respect my autonomy, you respect that I am an individual, I am not your property. Yes, we're partners, but like respect me as an individual, like you know, like I will, there's things that I understand that eventually there might be slight compromises, but I'm not making massive compromises on my character, on what I believe for anybody. Like I refuse to, life is already difficult enough as a dark-skinned Black woman. I refuse to have that in my partnership as well. I refuse to have more difficulties in other aspects of my life that has nothing, that should not have anything to do with what's going on in the outside world, you know. And that's just like, and I feel like I'm able to say that because I respect myself enough to say that. I respect and love myself enough to be like, you deserve nothing less than that. And for some people, it's like, it, so I say subconsciously because people don't realize that they do it, and they don't realize like where like that flare of either annoyance when they hear women who look like me say that. Like sometimes when I've noticed it in people where like I'll say something where it's like, I guess, boastful about myself, and they'll have this reaction of like annoyance or jealousy, and it's like, okay, ask yourself where that comes from. Why do you feel like that? You should not even, like, you should hear that and be like, okay, and like that's it, like move on. It has nothing to do with you, but why do you feel like that? Society, like in general, when women like me feel like that about themselves, that pisses them off. Why? Why?
Yeah, and I talked to you earlier about self-love being a radical thing in America.
Exactly. And it's just like, the reason why is because like when you look at me as a dark-skinned woman economically on like they always use like the imaginary totem pole. Black women are at the bottom. Before you're looking at a social imaginary totem pole within the Black community, I am down there right next to trans women, like right next to them. Like trans women are like, I have the advantage of being a cis woman, but right there, like we are right there, and that fucking sucks. That sucks. And it's like when we have the capacity to be like, I love myself, I respect myself, like it's terrifying to people. It is terrifying. Which is why those two communities, those two coexisting like yeah.
And I think, because I thought about this recently, of the idea of self-acceptance, self-respect, self-love is at times a means of survival.
I had this guy like completely like disrespect me on Snapchat, and he was trying to like hook up with me, and I'm just like, what is your, like, it was so weird. I read the message that he sent me and I literally started laughing. I thought it was the most fun, it was the funniest thing in the world. I was not fazed by it. I thought it was hilarious. I said LMFAO and I blocked him. And I was like, what the hell does he think who the hell does he think I am? Like a lot of men like really do get off, and some women unfortunately like will be disrespected by a man, and it's honestly a tactic where men disrespect women, and then the man like will then bombard her with compliments and then make her feel like he's the only one to like compliment her or like give her, you know, the reassurance that she needs. And some women unfortunately fall for that, and he thought I was one of those. Like, but I have it sucks to say, but I have respect for myself. That's why I'm able to literally laugh at that and move on with the rest of my day. I literally have not thought about it since then until right now, because it matches what I'm trying to say about self-respect, about like how we as people allow so many so much disgusting behavior to be done towards us, and then we'll forgive the person or justify it or whatever. And it's just like, no, like respect yourself enough to love yourself, to not let that happen to you, you know, like to not let these people come into your life, you know, like so much pain could be avoided if we just simply were like, you know what, no, like I'm not gonna do that, like I'm not gonna do that, like, and you will weed out the people who truly have your best interest in heart. Like you will really weed out the people who like truly care for you and not what you may give them, or not what you may like provide like, you know, it's yeah. Yeah. But like you see so many statistics about like how like Black women are undesirable just all around, you know. And so like in essence, but also, what community have you noticed of women specifically have you noticed have like a lot of like confidence when it comes to like showing out there? Black women. And you know why? Because we have to. Because no one else is gonna gas us up the way we will gas each other up. No one else is gonna like think that we're obviously beautiful right on sight without having lighter skin, you know, like no, like except for Black women. Like even Black men fall short of doing that. Like they're perpetrators of making us feel like we're less than most of the time. I agree. Like sometimes this journey of self-love and self-respect is a survival tactic, because in a world that constantly is telling you that you are less than, that you, because of what you look like, what your skin is like, that you don't deserve basic human decency half the time from people, like people blatantly disrespecting you to your face, not caring that it, like you're a person, like people, like I recently just heard an audio on TikTok, and it was this group of Black men literally saying like dark-skinned women are literally not humans. Literally, like there's some people who have that mentality that like because of how dark my skin is, I am less of a person. I am less of a human being. And because of how dark my skin is, I don't deserve to be heard. Like a lot of dating culture, like a lot of men will use dark-skinned women for sex rather and not care about their feelings or who they are as people, and they'll just use them for sex and then like make them feel like they're nothing. You know, I've heard one too many stories like that. Like you have to in some way like give yourself more love, especially looking like I do, because the world's not going to give it to you. The world's not going to give you the reassurance that you want. Like the world's not going to give me the reassurance that I want. Like if I call myself beautiful in front of a crowd, like, and no one says anything, I have to be able to still know that I am beautiful, you know. Like if I like, you know, like even as like dumb as that may sound, like, you know, like you have to be able to say it and believe it and not expect anyone else to co-opt it. Like, and if no one else co-opts it, you have to still be like, yeah, I'm the shit, like, period. Like I am that bitch, like at all times, even when you feel at your lowest, like I am that bit, like I am that person. Like I need to stop cursing, but you just have to you have to say it. And even if when you're saying you don't believe it, keep saying it until you do, because like the journey to loving yourself and respecting yourself is a very hard and long one, and
lonely,
and a lonely one. Eventually it'll get to a point where it's lonely, because like I've realized that like self-respect, although I feel like it should come first, like I feel like it comes almost last. I feel like it's like the last step in truly like loving yourself, because when you get to that step, it's like, baby, there's nothing else. Like once you get to that point where you're just like, yeah, I'm not accepting that, not accepting that, not accepting that, it's just like, who's gonna tell you anything about yourself? Who's gonna tell you anything about yourself? Like, baby, I've already psychoanalyzed myself, you know, like I've already done all the work that needs to be done. Yes, I know I have that problem. Can we move on? Yes, I acknowledge that. That's part of self-respect, you know, accountability. That's a part that's important, you know. So like, go me. Wow.
Yeah.
Go me.
Well, at every interview, I always ask the last question of any life advice or
Mhm.
wisdom that you're willing to share.
I feel like respect yourself, man. Like honestly, but no, but have patience with yourself. And one thing that I've learned is like I've had to forgive myself a lot too. Like even though there's a lot of examples in my past where like I did not exhibit a lot of self-respect, I've learned to forgive myself for my hand in those things. Like learning to just, and even when now if I don't have the courage to do it, because that happens, like have the courage to forgive myself and like just know that the next time it's not going to happen again, you know, like understanding that I'm only 22 years old. Like I'm still young. Like I've still got a lot of life ahead of me, please. And that I just, you know, I have time to continue this journey, and I have time to make mistakes. Hopefully not anymore, please. I can't handle any more mistakes. Painful mistakes. I don't want to make any more painful mistakes,
Right, yeah.
honestly. But yeah, just like just give yourself the chance to get the self-respect and respect you deserve. Like you are a person that is deserving of everything that you want, and it's just a matter of hard work, and you just have to get to that point. And if you're not at that point right now, that is okay. Like that is something that's not for, it's not something that comes around this time for everyone. And that's another thing you have to just forgive yourself for, that like yeah, you're gonna make mistakes, but you know, we're human. Like we're people. Like we are literally hardwired to mess up and learn from it. Like that's just how we are. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you.
You are welcome.
And this has been Brax Will Let You Know, where we are using the voices in this world for the change we need in the world. And thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you all for tuning in. See you next time.
All right.
Also, quick plug, I totally forgot to ask Precious if she wanted to promote anything, so here is her business. Please check out her Instagram page, support her, show her some love. Once again, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Precious, for sharing your story, and much love, you all. See you next time. Thank you.